Hello everyone, my name is Julie and I am one of Christian Assembly's Kingdom Partners, and it is a privilege to be able to send today's Daily Touch Point to you. Our reading for today comes from Isaiah chapter 47. I encourage you to read the entire chapter. As we've been reading through Isaiah, there's many important things that come up, but this chapter is about the pride, the arrogance of Babylon. It's about a people who didn't believe that they needed God, who felt that they were sufficient in their own selves, that their culture, their way of life, their view of the world, that even though they were made by God and for God, they didn't see that they needed Him. And so this chapter is talking about the fall of Babylon and that it will come. And it's hundreds of years before it happens, but in Daniel chapter 4, it talks about King Nebuchadnezzar, who it says that he says, all this came upon King Nebuchadnezzar at the end of 12 months. He was walking on the roof of the royal palace of Babylon, and the king answered and said, "Is this not the great Babylon, which I have built by my mighty power as royal residence and for the glory of my majesty?" It was made about His glory. It was made about His honoring Him and uplifting Him versus God. And it says that that very night King Nebuchadnezzar was struck down. And I think about, it's easy to read this as a story from a long time ago and how it applies to that place and that specific culture and that specific context, and to not necessarily think about how it might apply to us as a people, us as individuals, us as a nation. Where do we put our hope? Where do we put our reliance when we think about where our trust is, where we think what we think is due to us? Where is that? Is it based on our pride? Is it based on our feeling like we can do it within our own strength, within our own power, that it can be all about us, versus the reliance upon a God who is loving, who is kind, who is just, who cares deeply about who we are, but also is good and just, and it says that pride comes before a fall, and so may even today, as we think about this that happened in Babylon so many years ago, may we also pray and reflect upon areas of our own life, of our own culture, society, community, where there might be pride, and where there might be areas where we need to confess that, we need to pray about it, to think through it, to maybe ask for forgiveness in areas where we've made it about ourselves versus about God, and then may God guide us in steps, actionable steps, to look for ways to walk in humility. I mean, I go back to this verse often, but it says in Micah, what is it that the Lord requires of us? That we do justly, that we love mercy, and that we walk humbly with God. And may we learn how to do that. May we not rely upon our own strengths, upon our own pride that ultimately it won't last. But may we learn to walk humbly with God. So be encouraged, friends.